Well, welcome everyone to October's Feminine Wisdom Circle. So glad you could make it here today. We'll welcome in other people as they come. I'm Laura Rubenstein, and today joined by Josette Diaz to co-facilitate with us for these circles. And normally our circles are on Mondays at 4, but now today is at 5. So I apologize if that wasn't a good time for most people, but we will be going back to 4 o'clock, but on Tuesdays, starting in November, like the third or fourth Tuesday of the month, depending on the month. But the whole schedule is on our Zoom registration. And I, of course, will send that out in email to everyone. So welcome in. Hi, Josette.
Hey, hi everybody. It's nice to meet everyone. Hi Michelle. Hi Francesca.
Hi.
Hi.
And we're excited today. So Josette has volunteered to co-facilitate this with me, and I'm super excited. So we have, as always, an intention for our gathering, and I'm going to put it on the screen. And would one of you like to read the intention for today? We have a great little thing.
I I can read it.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Our intention is to create a sacred space for wise women leaders to access our juicy feminine energy and take time to nurture our soul, connect with like-hearted women, shed the shoulds, and create sacred space, elevate our impact.
Woohoo! That is inspiring to me. So, and before we go further with our session today, um, Josette, would you kind of get us centered and kind of set
Yes.
up for the topic today?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm just going to ask you to kind of just relax for a moment. I'm going to bring you in through your breath, and then we're just going to close our eyes and do a little visualization. So if you get yourself comfortable, just as long as you're comfortable, that's all that matters. Close your eyes and then bring in 3 deep breaths and bring the breath in through the nose. Imagine it moving down the back of your spine to the base of your spine. Hold it there for a moment. And then we're going to release the breath out through our mouth. So begin, hold, and release. And once more, hold and release. And one last time, hold and release. Now imagine a gold ball at the top of your head, and the gold ball begins to spin gently as it gets brighter, and it gently moves into the top of your head at your crown chakra, continuing to spin, moving down right between your eyes, just clearing each of these areas as it moves through your body. And from the between your eyes, you're going to move down into your throat chakra, right at your throat, and let go of anything that you feel you could have said, would have said, should have said today. Just let it all move with the light of the gold ball as it spins, releasing as it gently moves down into your heart center. And the gold ball begins to get brighter and bigger and brighter and bigger until it explodes into a tiny million pieces. And you see yourself and feel yourself sitting like in a cockpit. There's a clear bubble around you. And as you're sitting there, you notice around you that it's just lit with stars. And you feel very safe and comfortable where you are. And above your head, there is a little like round hatch that opens up, And a beam of light gently moves down into the vehicle you're in. And it gently moves into the top of your head, going straight down to the base of your spine. And this gold light gives you a sense of peace and calm. And you can feel the light energy as it circulates through the beam, as it moves in your body, gently aligning you to this light. And as you experience this, you can feel from the center of your being, like right around where your womb is at your sacral chakra, that there is something birthing from within energetically, and it gently moves up this beam of light, and it spins around the light, entwining itself. And as it does this, there are words that are moving along with the light as it moves around the gold energy that has come in. And just notice, you don't have to do anything with what you might see, hear, feel, or sense. Just allow it to be as it moves and goes all the way up through the top of your head, noticing what comes up and just being with it. There's nothing to do. And just breathe. Allow your body to release all the tension. And just notice what it was that you saw, felt, heard, or sensed. And just keep all of that information right in your heart center. Just place it there. There's like a little treasure box where you can place it, close it up if that feels comfortable to you, or whatever vehicle you'd like to use. And as you put away the information you received, you begin to see the gold ball coming back into your vision as it begins to spin gently, glowing brightly, moving you back into your heart space. You're back in your body again. And the gold ball continues to move gently as it spins, bringing you back up into your throat chakra, continuing to spin and glow as it moves you into your mind's eye, and gently floating out through the top of your head at your crown chakra. And when you feel ready, bring your presence back into your eyes and come back into the room.
And I'd like to welcome up Chu Hong, two panelists. Okay, great. Ah, I love those centering. Thank you so much. And just as a quick reminder, we create a safe space here. And what that means is each woman's story is hers to tell. We listen from our hearts. We don't give advice without permission. And we welcome tears as a release and sign of great healing and process. So if that's good with you, then we're going to continue and get to know each other. So today's theme is about paying it forward. And when you think of those words that came to mind, think of a time that maybe you paid something forward. You did an act of kindness. And just jot down the words that, first of all, jot down the words that came to you. And And then if there's some time that you paid something forward, or think about a time you were kind without being asked necessary, or just were inspired to be for some reason. So take a couple of moments to do that. Everybody got some words down for themselves, maybe a time where you were kind.
Just one time. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, so we're going to go around the room, and really this is a quick share time, a 1 minute type thing. Say your name, your location, what you're up to in the world, and a time you were kind. So Josette, do you want to start?
Sure, yeah. Okay. So I'm in San Diego, and I am a self-awareness coach for women, and I generally work with women in midlife. And let's see. So a time that I was kind, did I get everything, Laura?
And your name.
And my, oh, Josette Diaz. And a time that I was kind. Let me see. I want to think of something more recent. I mean, I can think of a million things of like when I've been at the grocery store and someone can't reach something on a top shelf and helping them because I'm a little bit taller, not as tall as I used to be, but a little. And oh, there's a really good example I have. Okay, I was in Starbucks in the line to get a drink, and someone in front of me actually bought my drink. And when I got up to the gal was telling me that he bought my drink and he's only asked that I pay it forward. And I was like, well, sure, yeah. So I bought the person behind me's Starbucks and hoped that they did the same thing. Whether they did or not didn't really matter. I just followed through and I was really so excited. It felt so good to have someone do that for me. And then it felt good to be able to do it for someone else. And so that's my experience with kindness.
Great. Um, Francesca, would you like to say your name, location, what you're up to, and a time when you were kind?
Sure. My name is Francesca Siciliano. I'm 20 miles east of the beach in San Diego. And I could say maybe just yesterday, I divulged to a fellow budding author a whole bunch of information on how she needs to check all her quotes because if they're not in the public domain, then supposedly you're not allowed to print them in a book.
Mhm.
So I gave her quite the eye opener. She was like, "Oh my God, really? What is that? What do you mean? What's that?" An older woman. I was like, "Yeah, I've been telling everybody. Oh my God, I have, what do you call it, schooled so many people over that since I've had my own experience this year with having to change 90 quotes
Oh my
from
gosh.
my own book because they were not in the public domain and they were so perfect for the chapter. I was crying like, no, but I can't. Anyway, so you see my name a lot on quotes in the book because I had to rewrite them with my name. Like, oh, she's so quotey. Yeah.
There you go.
So, yeah. So that was yesterday. Plus helping people. Yeah. It was a little mini fair. So I just got all in and carried things for people and rearranged stuff and whatnot. So that was a fun day, and I felt very not just giving, but yeah, the giving in the way that that's what we're here to do.
Mhm.
And it just felt like, of course, when you get around holistic people, everybody was giving, everybody was happy. And it was just so nice to be really a part of that because I'm on my own at home a lot. So it was nice to
Right.
be out and participate. So good for me, good for them.
Yeah. Thank
And
you.
I sold 2 books and 3 decks of cards. Yay!
Yay. Yay.
Big
Okay.
score for me. Yeah,
Yeah. Wonderful.
thank you.
Michelle, would you like to share? And go ahead and unmute.
Now I forgot what my name was. No. I'm Michelle Zive, and I live in La Mesa, California, San Diego, and I am the founder of Louder Girl Movement, and I have, and I think this is very kind, but maybe a little aggressive, but I have given the gift of telling women, and it's happened more times than I want to count, uh, to not apologize.
Mm.
So I was in Trader Joe's and I was going for some pita chips, and there was a woman there who worked there that was stalking. And she looked up and she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in your way." And I just grabbed her hand very lightly and I said, "You do not have to apologize for doing your job. I can wait." And women say I'm sorry way too often. And I walked away and I could hear her talking to other people that worked there. Like, what did this crazy lady say? So it's my big pet peeve. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that. I love that. One way I transformed the sorry was to think about the word thank you instead of sorry. Like if you're somebody saves a seat for you and you were a couple minutes late, instead of saying sorry, making people feel bad for you, you say thank you so much. And that you just raise the energy, right? So if you
Yeah.
feel like you need to say something,
Yeah.
yeah. So cool. I love that. Thanks. And Chu Hong.
Yeah, hi. Good to be here, all of you. I'm Shu Hong, and I'm in the Boston area right now, and I love supporting coaches, transformational leaders to see how to be the magnet to attract the clients easily, no stress required. Um, and time when I'm kind. The first word that came for me is I gotta be very discerning now because I just, especially in business, I'm like, I'm like, Laura's called me minutes. Did you pay us to be paid for that? I said, oh, and and so my thing is about be more discerning about that. And I told Laura that, someone did a timeline for me and brought me back. My body literally go back to the confusion times where I was a confusion scholar. And been advisor to the emperor and all the higher up piece. And I was just taken care of. I didn't have to ask for money. So maybe that's my learning here is to give, but however, be very, truly get valued and be paid for my worth. So
Yeah. It's funny when Francesca, you said you gave this advice, I was like, oh yeah, that's a kind thing to do. It really is. And then all of you shared kind advice. And for me, I'm Laura Rubenstein. I'm here in San Diego. I do marketing consulting, strategy, and implementation, as well as the feminine wisdom circles, which are a direct result of producing the feminine power cards and the Ignite Your Feminine Soul course. So my kind time that I was thinking about was when I was in a grocery store, kind of like you, Josette, but there was a mom who was moving groceries from one line to the other because a new line opened up, and she was also holding a kid. And I was like, so I just automatically started helping her. And she's like, oh wow, like I just like finding times. It just seems natural to find time or to step in when somebody needs a hand. Like why would I just watch somebody struggle when I am completely capable, have nothing else necessarily better to do, and can help somebody? So it just feels good to pay it forward, to do those I like to say acts of conscious kindness.
Mm.
Um, and so it's really good to know we're in good company, isn't it?
Mm. Sure is.
So I wanted to have Josette to have a chance to introduce yourself because this is the first time you're co-facilitating, and any thoughts on paying it forward as well.
Hey, thank you, Laura. Thanks. Well, I kind of introduced what I do. And let's see, it's so hard to like talk about yourself sometimes, when you're new, anyways, I'm fumbling. So what I do with women is I take them through a process that I created called Seasons of the Soul, which is a grounding practice for women moving through change. And change can happen whether it's forced change that occurs in our world or it's change that we initiate. And change is never comfortable. I'm sure everyone can kind of agree with that. I mean, sometimes change can be exciting. And then there's a little bit of uncomfortableness with it. You get to your growing edge. And so that is the system I created called Seasons of the Soul to help women find that compass inward so that they can be grounded and feel clear through change, no matter what kind of change it is. And what inspired that in my life was a series of from the time that I was a child and into my marriage, and knowing that I was always such a people pleaser, that it was difficult for me to not overgive or to not take care of others and always put myself last. And then life showed up for me to burst me into what I'm doing today, which is something I've always wanted to do since I was young. And that is to work with women and help guide them to the truest part of who they are. And that this doesn't come in a way that has to do with you having to do more. I think women in general do so much in the world, and we are always the ones thinking of others, and we don't really apply that same kind of treatment to ourselves. And it's time that we do. It's part of being feminine. It's part of allowing our wisdom to rise within us. And so that is pretty much what I do in a nutshell,
Mhm.
is helping women with that. And I use creative exploration to do that. I have a uh, several different offers and stuff. And one of the things that I love is to use art to help women start to discover that. And it's a different doorway that you're using. So it's having a soul conversation with yourself. And so yeah, that's what I do.
Great.
And I've been in San Diego, my gosh, most of my life since I was young. So I've kind of grown up here. I lived in Missouri for a year and a half as a teenager. That's funny. But I went to 14 different schools, so I have like a lot of experience with being flexible and reinventing and letting go of old identities. And that's part of what we do as women when we get to midlife. So
Awesome. Thank you. Well, we're
thank
glad to have you here, and I can't wait for everyone to hear some more from you. Uh, as we get into this topic today, we pull every feminine wisdom circle, we pull one of the feminine power cards. And this is the feminine power card is pay something forward. So we're already doing it in our lives, right? So we just wanted to bring a little bit more conscious awareness to it. And the cards are really cool because they have a principle on the front, which is the pink side, and then on the blue side they have the way to practice it. So they're kind of like self-coaching cards. And the practice for the pay something forward is practice acts of conscious kindness. And for example, leave the next public restroom you're in cleaner than when you arrived, or put money in a meter that's expiring. So just as an example, but you all are already doing that. And what we wanted to do next is tie it into how come we're already doing it, and talk about our values. And I know that this is something, Josette, that you do all the time. So I don't know. Would you like me to share the screen or are you just going to walk through it on your own?
I don't, whatever you'd like to do.
Doesn't matter.
I can do it. Just walk through it is fine.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll show the screen at the after you go through
yeah,
it so people
yeah,
have a
because I
visual.
did add something in there that
Oh,
we
okay.
talked about. Yeah. So when we talk about our values, we can kind of conceptually, how many of you kind of like know what your values are? Do you have an idea? Okay. And are those values tied to, this is a question I like to ask, is are they tied to a belief system? Because I think often we do this in a subconscious way, or we're not always quite aware that sometimes the values that we think we have are actually something that's based on a belief system that we grew up in. And then we may find that those values don't really align with who we are today. And so it's just a matter of like questioning that, just getting curious whether or not that's true or not. If it's not true, or if you agree with the belief, then there's nothing to really assess, right? It's part of your belief, it's what you value, etc. I found for myself that there were times where I thought that I had a certain kind of value, yet I recognized that I had a belief that was attached to that and it wasn't really true for me. So I got really curious about that, which allowed me to start to really sink into what do I value? And so, and it's also good to reassess those values like every 6 months because there are different shifts in your life going on, and some of those values might take a back seat where others might step up more for and be more in the forefront for you. So I want to give you an example of what I mean by leading your life with values, the values that you have, and getting to where you can choose the top 3 values that are most important to you at this particular time or season in your life. So I have a client, and I love to use her example because it's better than anything I could come up with on my own. And she values calm. Calm is something she really values in her life. And there's many reasons for that. So she found herself whenever she was, wanting calmness, and she would be in a situation, and her perfect example is her daughter has teenage children. And anyone who's had a mom or has been a mother knows about teenage children, most likely. Or if you don't have children, you've been around kids enough to know that when kids are in the room, things get a little hairy. It's a little more chaotic. And so that chaos took her out of her comfort zone of calm or her ability to remain calm. I don't like to use that word comfort zone because that means she's not really pushing her edge, right? Yet, so in order for her to feel that calm, to lead her life in the value of calmness, what she was doing was jumping in to help. So, oh, what can I do? Can I do the dishes? Can I, clean up this mess or whatever to create the calm in the room? Yet it never really quite worked. She never really quite felt calm until, everything sort of subsided all on its own in some other way. So we started talking about how can you lead your life with calm in that moment. So instead of jumping in, she stands still and sinks deeper into herself and sits in her calm. So then she becomes the eye of the storm. And it sounds like all of us are kind of on the same page. Like you'll understand when I say the energy in the room starts to shift because she is centered in calm. She is sitting in what she values the most is that presence, that eye of the storm moment. And so as she does that, then, all of the noise happening around her starts to get quieter, starts to calm all on its own, just by her standing in her own value and her own power of it. And so this is how you lead your life with the values that you have, which helps you to not necessarily like she makes a choice when she hops in to be in the position of the matriarch in her, when she goes to visit her grandkids, right? if it's Thanksgiving, she's going to be there, of course, and she's going to practice being in calm. So it helps you to set the boundaries that are natural to you with those values. And it will lead you into places like when we talk about paying it forward, that you are leading into leaning into your value when you are choosing things that naturally you become kinder. So it's a way to cultivate living your life through not only the value, but living your life through what's truly connected to you and letting yourself shine in your most genius areas, because your values are really connected to the things that you're so good at, your genius zones. And so when you're paying those things forward, the energy that comes with that is much more magnified. It's much more intentionally, the purity of the energy is there. Does that make sense? Like you can really feel someone when they're genuinely, authentically giving to you, because they're giving to you from a place that they value and that is truly centered on who they are. So I did put in our slide, I put in a website that you can use that will help you get closer to it, or you can just kind of check and see, where am I at with my values? And it takes about 10 to 15 minutes. You know, it will give you choices on, well, do you like this more? Do you like this more? Okay, you like that? Well, do you like that or that more? And so it helps you kind of get down to it, and it will produce 5 values that by the assessment, you will understand those top 5 things are the things that you're saying are most important to you. So that gives you an opportunity to kind of look at that a little bit deeper and really assess. This is where I think it gets tricky, where you can kind of just see where, oh, is that tied to a belief or is that tied to a value? So I think it's a really powerful tool that will help you get started on it.
Or do you want to mention any of the rest of the information here, the questions?
Let's see. Yes. So first question, when you think about your values, is what's most important to you, as we've kind of been talking about. And then the second is, how do you see it showing up in your life? If it's something you truly value, you'll see sparks of it everywhere. And so if you're not seeing it show up in your life, then uh, it's an opportunity for you to get a little more curious about why maybe it's not showing up. So, like, one of my top values is equality. So I see things through that lens often. When something bothers me, I have an opportunity to look at that and see whether or not, is that because there's an imbalance there for me? And how am I contributing to that imbalance? Am I or am I not? And if there is that imbalance, then where am I not in line with myself? So it provides me with a different way of looking at things in my environment and helps me extract more awareness from myself so that I can learn and grow and continue to expand. And then your values are a compass which guide you towards setting boundaries without stress or chaos, because you generally don't place yourself in places that you don't value. And when you do find yourself in those places, you know how to handle it in a different way, because, like I used the example of my client, instead of her jumping in, she remains calm and still within herself, which then creates the ripple effect of her calm energy starts to move through the room. So there's different ways of looking how you can create more calmness or equilibrium with yourself when you're in situations that kind of rub your value in the wrong way. So it's a really great way to help yourself grow more.
Yeah. I'm curious to hear from everybody, like a couple of things. One is, does this help you or give you another way to look at things like in your life, kind of another barometer? Like, okay, am I in alignment with my values? Can I pay some, is this, and then looking at what you've paid forward. Oh yeah, that's totally in alignment with my values. Or there's a, like, I love this idea of this calm, like there was a couple of ways to approach that, both kind of demonstrating your values. One was a stressful, not honoring of self way, and one was a very honoring of self and values way. So I'm curious to hear what came up, and in specific, if you want to answer this question, what values do you see yourself living as you're practicing these acts of conscious kindness? Does anything come to mind that you want to comment on? Yeah.
I would say that, and Laura knows this, but I had a huge epiphany in the last 2 months. I mean, life altering. And I won't go into all the details, but really what it came down to was I had been let go from 3 different organizations. One, UCSD, I'd worked there for 30 years. Another was the Campo Kumeyaay Reservation. I'd worked there for 6 or 7 years. And the last one was Heaven's Windows, which was an organization I was consulting for. And I was unceremoniously let go. And it didn't feel good. And so I just thought, I thought, okay, there's a saying that says, when one person tells you your hair looks like shit, you go, whatever. That's your issue. When 3 people tell you your hair looks like shit, you better look in the mirror. So I looked in the mirror and I realized that I was using my trauma response from childhood, which is fawning, people pleasing, no boundaries, not standing up for myself, not loving myself. My self-worth and value were all on the outside. So I said, oh, hell no. No more of that. So I really feel like my value, and in terms of Louder Girl, this is a community of getting women to tell their stories and to heal and have value for themselves. And if I wasn't doing that, how the heck could I lead? So I would say right now it's about mothering myself and self-love so that I can go out into the world to spread this message for other women. So yeah.
I love
Very
that.
cool. The more you're practicing that, the more you're living your values, the more you're paying it forward, the more impact you're having.
Yeah. I feel it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge awareness. That's huge.
Yeah. So you can really feel your power when you're living your values and paying it forward, right? Because you could be living your values and doing a lot of self-love, but then you're sharing your story. You're giving that forward. That's that. And, that's one way to pay it forward. And the point of this little process of going around and sharing a little bit more is to show you your impact through your values, that your values are having. So Chu Hung, is there anything you want to acknowledge in terms of what your values you're living as you pay it forward?
Yeah, yeah, my top 3 right now is authenticity, freedom, and integrity. And so from that perspective, and the good news about when I'm in coaching is that if I ask my clients, to do something, there's always that thing, are you doing it yourself? Or if they're not doing it, I have to say, is it because I'm not doing it or it's not, it's like, is it something within, when something's happening, is it in my energy field within me or is it just around me? It's the whole responsibility that, so that's, yeah. And then another thing I also learned because I was in NLP training, they talk about values from a very different context. Another context is that the values you have, when you have belief into the limiting, that could actually guide you to select certain values. And so because the limiting beliefs is that so you want to move away from the pain, and so you select some values to support you. However, on the long run, it's not going to help you in a sense. So there is quite an intensive process that I do, rather than just asking service, like a number NLP question.
Oh, you froze.
It's like the sequence of it. Then we, yeah. So anyway, there is a process. Like, can you hear me now? Oh, internet unstable. Give me a second. I might turn off my. Yeah. So yeah. So when I ask about values, I also go and say, the values you've selected, whether it's a moving away versus moving towards of energy and approach. And that gives me a sense, especially if they're moving away, it's usually limited belief stuff. And then we clear the limited beliefs, and then the the values that show up, and even the words you choose to represent the values can be very different. I remember doing with someone about relationship, and before we release reveal and release the limited beliefs or traumas or whatever, the words she chose was, I knew it was more ego-based, it's not heart-based. But then after we do it, she picked this amazing word that I still love. It's called, she really truly just want to be cherished.
Mm.
To land on that one for her is like, wow, I don't never would imagine that. But when she uses it, it's like, yeah, it's like I'm home, that's exactly what I want from my partner. And I still remember we were just enjoying that word itself, on a very deeper level. So
And you mentioned your values of authenticity, freedom, and integrity.
hmm.
And I think that is huge and does contribute to how you pay it forward in the world that you may not even be noticing. I mean, we got together, she was in town this past weekend, so we got together, or the weekend before last, and we got together spontaneously. But your communication, the clarity, um, and keeping your word through that process, it's so easy to get together with you. It's like, of course, it's going to be a yes
Oh,
because of
wonderful.
who you are, because you're authentic, because you're on purpose, your integrity and all that. You want that. It just felt easy for me to say yes. So I just want to let you know that there's an impact there that you might not know, that I wanted to acknowledge.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm just sitting here, allow myself to receive, because that's one of the things that I got to just in this moment, right? And the authenticity one was a tough one because I had to survive, and the way I had survived through childhood and then coming here as a college student, um, is turning to be a people pleaser. And it's gonna be extra nice and all this, but there's a part of me inside me just like, what are you doing? Sort of thing. And it was very exhausting, all these different masks I have to wear. And finally I basically remember declaring one day, I said, I'm done. I just want to be myself. And that contribute to
Yay.
the freedom of being able to do that, and yeah, even I came a little bit too authentic. My daughter, she would sometimes say, "Who are you, mom?" And she would want me to come to some of events, and they looked more, we're all much more formalized something. She'd say, "Mom, just be a little careful of what you say or how you express things." I said, oh, okay. Sort of funny.
There you go. Paying it forward again. Their authenticity. It's beautiful.
Uh,
Awesome. Francesca, any thoughts you have on values that you're living?
Well, just from yesterday, I've been and still am a little on the ADD side and impatient and sure, get on with it. Yeah, I know what you're trying to say. Oh, why? So, um, yesterday especially, I was noting presence and patience and listening and really hearing these people. And I was watching them change as I was, I'm like, Oh, I thought he was gay, but I think he's interested in me just that little bit now. He's keeps petting his hair just because I'm being so present with him. Maybe I'm smiling too much though. And then, it's like, oh, I'm in a good mood. You bought a deck of cards. You need a smile. Yeah. And that's about it. But yeah, so I was enjoying that because for a change, I'm um myself, I tend to let's get on with it. But I'm in a New York minute mode way too many times. So I thought that was good. I was like, yeah, see how many things evolve when you sit and chill and listen and acknowledge and ask questions. And like, okay, I didn't do that with everybody though. One person just kept making me like, "Arr." So her energy was activating. Uh, uh. But yeah, so say that's a new value. Actually, I'm thinking, oh, if I'm just finally getting it, it's more of a new value.
You
Um,
never know what's going to show up here, right?
Yeah, but the values of paying it forward are just, doing for people because they're your friends and they need help, and there are other women who do too much and you want to help them. And then they reciprocate. I have a couple of people, we just reciprocate back and forth like a little crazy. I think we're overdoing. It's like, I'll bring you something. You always give me something. So now I'll bring you, kind of thing back and forth. It's kind of funny. But that's kind of the consistent thing, or just showing up with flowers, or then they feel like maybe they'll have to give me something or later or buy me lunch. I don't know. It'd be nice for people to receive without needing to reciprocate, because you feel how that devalues sometimes your giving, because it has to be matched or equated. I gave you what did I give my neighbor over there? Those red things, not permissions, but persimmons. Those big hard red things. Because she
Pomegranate.
loves
Pomegranates,
pomegranate,
yeah.
right, right. Because I pull them off trees as I walk by, which is probably. But anyway, um, so she likes them, and then I have something for you, and I collect her jars of food. It's kind of funny, but it's like I don't feel like I'm just giving it to you because I know you like it. I'm not crazy about it. It was in reach, within reach. So that thing. That's why I do things. But
Well,
anyway.
I really enjoyed last month. We had an amazing, Francesca and I had an amazing conversation about receiving, and
Ah,
right. And so I think it's worth going back and watching the replay of that. It's up at femininewisdomcircle.com. And yeah, it's worth, because I think there's a power in receiving well. Yeah.
mhm.
And that's your point, is can we receive well? Because it's really critical in being able to manifest well. If you can't
Yeah,
manifest, if you can't receive well, you cannot manifest at all, right? So that when it does come back to you, if we look at it from the perspective that, hey, I just manifested, that's awesome. um then it even emboldens, you're number one, modeling how to receive well, practicing that art of receiving so that you can manifest more. So I loved our conversation last time, but it dovetails right into here, because paying it forward is actually about giving, right? And living our values. So Chuhung, yeah, share, please.
Yeah, you're talking about the giving and receiving. One of I was listening at a in-person event, and we're talking about abundance. And then there was this picture about like it's almost like a yin yang, and half of it's receiving and half of it's giving. And they said that it gotta be in harmonic balance, because that's how abundance, the energy is, that people who receive, there's a part of them that want to give and they want to give back. You want to give them the opportunity, that is. However, when you receive, really fully receive it in such a, you know, it's just this way that it's like, wow, right? Whatever is, from the context. And that's what I had to learn, because my, that's one of the things that, the language of love, mine was not about, my ex-husband loved to give. And I just, I had to do the whole pono where I basically had to say, I'm so sorry that I did not receive what you gave well. And I basically, and it was to this point, he gave me an engagement ring, but he knew me enough to make sure I can return it and actually say, yeah, good. I'm so glad you can return it because I just don't wear rings for practical reasons. And I put that money in my IRA, that's the practical, that's my,
You're
it's
so
not,
romantic.
I know. For me, that was the more romantic thing than because I was a nurse and I do a lot of work where I would be so freaking out about losing that piece of little thing. But anyway, but I really then when I learned about energy, there's so many people I had to like in my thoughts had to say, I'm so sorry, I never received it generally, even though for me it's like why just but why again give me something more practical that's to me, but at least in the gesture of that giving to really at least receive it because from for them it's a really genuine good thing.
And then you could go put it in your IRA.
Josette, do you want to share also any awarenesses through this?
I really love what you were saying, Francesca. I mean, it's so true. I've been in that position of where you, on both ends, like when I was uncomfortable with receiving, it was hard for me to um, accept someone giving to me on a level that I wasn't comfortable with, like a gift or something like that. Was hard for me not to want to then turn around, like you were saying, and give back in some way. And I had to really get over that and just allow myself to receive and say thank you, like you were saying, Laura, like not, add something else, just say thank you, practicing that and then not saying sorry. So I really think this is such a powerful conversation. I think it's hard for women in general to be in that acceptance and receiving position because we are always taught to be so polite and and be giving. So we're not really comfortable with being given to. I remember my husband wasn't very helpful with my youngest child, my second husband. And I remember my girlfriend came to visit and her husband, they had two little girls. We were all kind of close in age with our kids. And he was super helpful and he did something really nice for me. I can't remember what it was. Maybe just get me a plate. And I thought, wow, this is what it's like to have someone that helps you. And that was when I was actually starting to be able to accept to receive.
Wow.
I think that we're taught to also be humble and not brag about ourselves and not our accomplishments. And I think I this is also a gift, but I have problems when someone gives me a compliment, about, thank you so much for, what you're doing and giving voice to, or, and I just, oh, it's okay. It's not that big of a deal. I just think it actually is insulting to the person that's trying to give it to you. And brag away. Brag away. We don't get our voices out there enough to say, this is what I've accomplished. This is, anyways. Yeah, get louder.
Agree.
That's awesome. Yeah, Francesca.
Yeah, I'm with all this and what we've said earlier, it's like you, especially my family, your value is in giving. You're just trained like a little seal. You get the cookie, when you give and you're giving and you're giving. And there was never any training on receiving. And yeah, very intensely. And this the old Italian, pathetic people.
And I think that was what maybe Chuhunga was pointing to, the limiting beliefs that we're brought up with that translate into our values and then our self-worth. Like, I don't deserve to receive, like I should be giving, right? The should. So we're shedding the shoulds today and we're allowing ourselves to receive, knowing that it's a really important energy in our lives. Yeah, true.
Yeah, this whole I'm sorry thing, interesting. When I learned about it, I became very conscious. So I see myself very often want to say I'm sorry, and I have to say, what am I sorry about? Is this what's that coming from? And especially, I wouldn't call it, but there's some Asian countries, and it's interesting when I know where the I would say Chinese people come from, Japan versus Hong Kong versus Singapore versus Vietnam and Cambodia. Um, Somehow societal wise, this I won't say which country, us the moment they open their mouth is saying, I'm sorry for all that. And I see that, and I was teaching tennis, and we had a lot of interesting Chinese women. And it was like when I know where they come from, it's like, yeah, here we go. All the sorries are coming out now from this person who's doing magnificently. And I had a conversation. I said, do you know that you say a lot sorry about and you're an amazing player? And and he opened his mouth and said, I'm sure Rach saying I'm sorry. And then she said, yeah, I mean, my culture is definitely the first thing that just come out from our mouth.
It is. It's embedded in
And
cultures for sure.
yeah, and very societal prone to and cultural. And so I've got to the point where I definitely don't say I'm sorry unless I'm meant to be. Sometimes there's a part that I think people, in certain norms, they expect us to say I'm sorry, and I don't say it. And then I feel that there's silence. They're like expecting me.
Well, there's an interesting thing that, I have a background in hypnotherapy. And so I'm a certified hypnotherapist. And the words, our brains are very literal. I am sorry. Like, I am a sorry person. Like, but what if every time you were going to truly apologize for something, you say, I apologize instead of I am sorry? Now it's a few more syllables and it's a different energy.
Yeah.
It's the real energy. It's not saying I'm a bad person. It's like I'm taking ownership and want to make it right versus I'm a bad person. Like, I'm sorry, right? That really just,
Yeah.
you literally think about those words. I'm a sorry person, it doesn't feel
Really
good,
good.
but try saying I apologize when you really want to apologize.
I like that. Yeah. The sad thing is
Definitely.
that women in leadership roles, high level, when they compare them to men in the high leadership, the women are shown in conversations or panels. Or I said, someone was counting, and the women were coming with more. I'm sorry, I apologize much more on a high level. These are like very influential women. Is that
That's embedded in our culture, right?
yeah.
So but I want to just leave today, and Gisette, maybe you can amplify this too, is your values in alignment with acts of conscious kindness are so powerful. They elevate your impact. And when you can consciously see that, you'll probably do more. You'll feel more self-worth. You'll be loving yourself more, and you're able to give more. And then you receive more too, because your self-worth is there. Yeah. Do you want to add to that, Josette?
Yeah, I really love that, Laura. Like, it feels different when you say the word apologize versus sorry. I just had to say that. Because it really did it hit me in a different way energetically. So it feels really good. And when we're paying it forward, um, as long as it's right in your heart, just really be in your heart space for that, because that's always going to impact someone, truly, truly impact them. And it allows you to then, I mean, when you are actually being able to give to someone and they are receptive, you walk away from that with a bigger gift than if they had given to you.
Huge,
Yeah,
huge point.
huge.
And I love all these. And Michelle, do you want to kind of say what you just put in the chat?
Oh, I typed in like other ways to say that you're sorry or not say you're sorry. So replace sorry with positive or direct language. It's in the chat. Sorry for being late. say thanks for waiting. Instead of sorry to interrupt, say I'd like to add to that, or I have a question. Instead of sorry for taking up your time, say thanks for your time. Instead of sorry, I'm not sure, say I'll find out for you. Instead of saying sorry for the inconvenience, say thank you for understanding. Instead of sorry, but say I just want to say, or I have an idea.
Awesome.
Great.
Save the chat, everybody. And before
Yeah.
you save it, let me put in the chat that if you don't have a deck of the wisdom cards and you'd like them, you can get them at Feminine Power Cards. And Josette and myself each have a gift for you. If you haven't already taken advantage of them, I do the Unlock Your Feminine Influence Code. It's a 15-20-minute session where we find out what is your feminine superpower through the cards as well, especially if you have something you're dealing with. And Josette, you want to share what yours is?
Yeah. Yes, I have provided a free 30-minute conversation around activating your awakened intelligence. So there's a different way to think about our emotional intelligence and think about it in a way of feminine intelligence. And that allows you to see your values and also to use those values and step into them in a way that creates power. And not that we're all necessarily trying to create power. We are, though, in our businesses, in our ways that we interact with others. Like when you talk about sorry, Michelle, I love that you really dive into this work because men don't say they're sorry. And Chuyang, you were just commenting on this. And so when we can really look at our blueprint of our own constellation of how we operate and give ourselves that awareness, it helps us to even pack it with more direct impact. And that's what I mean by power.
Mm.
So, yeah, so if you're interested in doing that, come take a look at it.
The links are in the chat. Save the chat. That's awesome, Josette. Next month we're starting to meet on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific. So that'll be 7 p.m. Eastern. And it'll be Tuesday, November 18th when we meet. And we are going to explore loving well because we've received, we've paid it forward. You know, there's something about loving well, and we're going into the holiday season where, you know, how can we open our hearts, right? So we'll be exploring that together. I so appreciate you all being here. I love and adore, Josette, that you've come in to co-facilitate this. And
Thank you,
you, ladies, for adding your energy. Thank you. And your love and your heart. And this is our time we practice that conscious feminine energy in collaboration and admiration and acknowledgement. So just know that you're being hugged throughout the month, okay? From our circle.
Thank you. It was great.
Thank you.
Meet all of you. Thank you.
Thank you
See
much,
you next
dear.
month.
That's great.
Yeah.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.